Welcome to your ultimate exam prep masterclass. I am so pumped you're here. Today, we're tearing into Chapter 21 of your political science syllabus, World Challenges and India's Role. Now, I want you to imagine the post-1945 modern world not just as some boring timeline in a textbook, but as a giant arena facing four massive global boss battles. The era of colonialism has literally just collapsed, the United Nations is newly born, but humanity, well, it's still fighting for survival. And right in the middle of this whole shebang, India is stepping up as a strategic hero. If you're a 10th standard student aiming for top marks in your board exams, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to decode the absolute highest weightage topics from this chapter so you can walk into that exam hall with total confidence. Let's dive right in. Here's your blueprint for Chapter 21. We are conquering four global boss battles today: the denial of human rights, the race of armaments, economic inequality, and terrorism. Let's get to work.
All right, Boss Battle 1, the denial of human rights.
Looking back at history, we see some pretty massive landmarks. The American War of Independence in 1776, the French Revolution of 1789, and the Russian Revolution of 1917. They all paved the way. But listen up. I need you to lock this next date into your brain right now, December 10, 1948. This is when the UNO issued the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Examiners literally love this date. It is a classic one-mark board question. When is Human Rights Day celebrated? December 10th. Seriously, write it down, underline it, memorize it.
Now, the UN Declaration explicitly prohibited certain evils, and you're going to need to list them in your exam. To make this totally foolproof, just remember the acronym STCE. What's it stand for? S for slave trade, T for traffic in human beings, C for child labor, and E for exploitation of women. When that question pops up on test day, just quickly write STCE in the margin, and you'll effortlessly expand it into 4 perfect bullet points. Boom, easy marks.
Okay, pay close attention, because India's specific role here is an absolute examiner's favorite. When they ask for India's play, please don't just write India supports rights. That's way too vague. You need to be specific. Tell them India has always championed universal human rights. Mention that we provided for fundamental rights directly in our Constitution, specifically Articles 12 to 35. Point out that we constantly advocate for them in the UN General Assembly and that India strongly opposes genocide, exploitation, and oppression. Hit those exact keywords and you are guaranteed full marks.
Moving on to our second global boss battle, the race of armaments.
Okay, so picture a giant scale in your mind. On one side, you have MAD, mutual assured destruction. Every single nuclear missile added to the world tips that scale closer to total global annihilation. So what's the counterweight? Disarmament. Disarmament is the reduction or elimination of certain or all armaments to end this race. It's the active removal of those missiles from the scale to actually save humanity. Check out this incredibly powerful quote from American President Eisenhower. He said, "This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children." Memorize this quote and exactly who said it. Why? Because the board evaluators absolutely love dropping this into a "who said this and why" kind of question. Knowing it cold shows you've really mastered the material. All right, red alert. This is a major trapdoor warning. When asked about the effects of the arms race, there's a super common student mistake. A lot of people just write casual stuff like, people will die, or it causes war. Don't do that. To lock in your marks, you absolutely must use the textbook keywords. The arms race leads to global-level fear, insecurity, tension, and economic waste. Treat those 4 specific terms as your golden ticket to a perfect score. To fight back against this arms race, countries entered into major bilateral agreements, and you need to remember the big ones. Here's your memory trick: SPCN. Just think to yourself, superpowers can negotiate. S is for the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, or SALT. P is for the Partial Test Ban Treaty. C is for the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, or CTBT, and N is for the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Superpowers can negotiate. Remember SPCN, and you'll instantly recall all 4 critical disarmament treaties. Boss battle number 3 isn't fought with nuclear weapons, but with wealth. It's the stark reality of economic inequality.
Let's break down a very specific term your examiners love to test, the third world. When you're asked to define it, this is the exact word-for-word definition they're looking for. It denotes poverty and non-development. It refers to those countries striving to free themselves from shortages of food, capital, technology, and medical facilities. Actually, don't even try to paraphrase here. Just give them the textbook definition to secure that mark.
You know, the root of this problem comes down to one massive concept: the Great Divide. On one side, post-1945, you had the wealthy, advanced American and Russian blocs. On the other side, newly independent African and Asian countries. And why were they struggling so much? Well, the textbook is super clear. It's the historical legacy of colonialism and imperialism. European powers exploited these colonies, leaving them economically backward and completely starved of the capital they desperately needed for agriculture, industry, and education.
So what's India's strategic play in this totally unequal world? Once again, India steps up. We launched the policy of non-alignment. We fiercely advocated that rich nations should provide economic assistance to needy countries, but without any tags or hidden conditions attached. India is a pioneer in opposing neo-imperialism, meaning we stand firmly against advanced countries exploiting poor nations through unfair trade. We're constantly striving to promote global economic justice and equality.
Finally, we face our fourth, most complex, and frankly, most violent global boss battle: terrorism. First things first, you've got to lock in this precise definition. What is terrorism? It is the systematic use of terror as a means of coercion. It refers to violent acts intended to create fear and cause heavy damage to men and materials. It's really crucial to mention in your exam that terrorism is a political tactic. It's unconventional warfare aimed at maximizing fear, psychological impact, and mass publicity through things like explosives, hijackings, or suicide attacks.
Now, the evaluators really want to see you connect this abstract concept to specific real-world events that have tested India. You need to note that India is unfortunately considered a soft base for terrorists. Cite the specific textbook examples. Mention the horrific attacks on the Mumbai Taj Mahal Hotel and railway stations on November 26, 2007. Mention the attack on the parliament in New Delhi. And definitely don't forget to mention internal threats, like how Naxalism is fanning terrorism right within our own borders.
But how does India actually respond to this kind of unconventional warfare? Well, here are your key points for India's resolute defense. Number 1, India has always strongly criticized global terrorism in international forums. Number 2, both our central and state governments are actively taking massive measures to curb terrorism. And number 3, India strives relentlessly to protect the property and the life of ordinary people. Laying out these points clearly shows the evaluator you totally understand both the threat and how our nation responds. And just like that, we've completely mapped out the 4 global boss battles. You now possess the absolute highest yield, perfectly structured knowledge for Chapter 21. You've got the mnemonics, STCE, and SPCN. You've got the exact textbook definitions, and you know exactly how to write about India's role to snatch up full marks. Stay confident and trust the frameworks we've built today. Are you ready to show those evaluators what you know? I think for sure you are. But as you walk out of that exam hall, ask yourself this. India has stepped up as a hero against these 4 boss battles so far, but as the world evolves, what new, unseen global challenge is waiting for us in the shadows? Keep studying smart, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.